welcome to Three Guys and a Brit, an international podcast where we go over many subjects. As usual, I am Jericho, along with Jeej, Windu, and Cayman. Now, today we're going to talk about religion and our experiences with it. I got some shit to say. Go on, Windu, take the lead.
Bro, all right, hold on. So I'm gonna just start this off by saying we're not trying to piss anybody off. Just throw that shit out there, bro. Because like I can easily see people getting defensive, right? But
yo, serious.
No, I kind of just want to ask a simple question around the room, and I actually want to start with Caveman. And just a simple: are you religious, and how religious are you, if you are?
Yes, but very little. Like I don't go to church,
Okay.
but you know, we say our prayer when we eat. You know, I talk to God. I thank God, you know, every day for my life. You know, but it's not something that I would say that I'm like super like zealot about. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, like what's the word? Like devout, I think it's called, or some shit like that. Like when you're like super into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm devout to, you know, believing that, you know, God has a plan for my life and for my kid's life, and you know, we all serve a purpose. But I also don't push it on somebody else. You know, that's what a lot of my upbringing told me to do, you know, to go and to knock on every door and spread the word. And it's like, I'd rather live, you know, the principles that were taught to me instead of imposing on them on somebody else, you know, and that's a lot of what I see from not only from Christians, which is my sect, you know, but from other religions too.
So you don't feel like it's your purpose to push the word of God?
No, I mean, it's not about pushing an agenda or anything. It's about, you know, showing the love of God to somebody, you know, being a difference in this world. You know, this world is filled with a lot of assholes, you know, and I think that it's our purpose in this life to be different and to be here for people that are hurting, and not cast judgment upon them and force them to believe exactly how I believe, but to give them hope that, hey, listen, you know, life has a lot of downs, but there's a lot of ups, you know, you got to appreciate it. And, you know, I was taught that, you know, Jesus Christ came and died for our sins, and that basically made everybody new, and that we shouldn't feel bad about, you know, the things that we've done, because they've been forgiven, you know, and we should also forgive other people and live a good life of grace and forgiveness, you know. So that's what I practice, you know, but that's not, you know, really the agenda is almost militant, you know, when you go to some churches where they're like, we're going to go to each house, we're not going to take anybody's beliefs and how they think, you know, the earth was created and how we're here. And, you know, the truth of the matter is that the Bible itself was passed down from many different hands, and where it was written by different people and different ages. So a lot of people take a lot of things to heart, and they're like, hey, you know, like homosexuality is a sin, you know, which I don't think it is. I think, you know, we all have a right to choose who we love, you know, and that God's not going to cast judgment on us, you know,
because God gave you free will.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And free will with homosexuality, that is free will, you know, into that point. But see, I'm gonna take one step back, and I'm going to blow all your guys' mind right here, give you guys a little bit of insight of the Jeej, you know, Jeej exotic, as we like to call him these days. See, I'm a believer in just a higher power. So
okay,
I follow a few different like outlooks on stuff. So I believe that there's just a higher power. It may just be God himself, but God is branched off to many different regions. So I kind of like to dabble and like kind of like read about everyone's religion, because it's all kind of the same, but not at the same time. So you take like your Buddhists, right? They all have that one guy, just like Catholics, it's God. But the only difference is that there's Jesus Christ and a lot of this, a lot of the stuff. But see, with the Jeej, I'm using myself in third person. I kind of like to follow the Nordic ways. So like I do believe in multi-gods. So you have, it's just because it makes sense on things, if that makes sense.
Like pagan, like you're
into the pagan religion, just because it makes sense. So like the way that you feel, not just one person, or one entity or one energy. There's multiple different like realms on it. So it's different. So like when you start hearing other things about other people's religion, it's kind of like, that sounds about the same. That sounds about the same. Like you start going down the line.
And a lot of it has to do where you were born. If I was born in Afghanistan, I would have been Muslim. I wouldn't have thought the same way. It was the
true Muslim is the way over there. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, not even but if you even like, that's where it gets kind of tricky. So like if you start thinking about like that, I call it the triangle. It's literally, that's the true Bermuda Triangle. Is over there, like, is you have your Jews, your Muslims, and your Catholics, Christians, kind of like, in that same realm. Dude, and it's, if you listen to what they're all saying kind of like the same thing. It's just different writings, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's all the way it's kind of explained to everyone in a different book wise. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we lost Windu, as you can see.
No, I'm still here. I just had to turn off my camera because the baby came in the room. Sorry. Go ahead and continue, guys.
Okay. So for me, I was born I was born up in a Catholic household, right? I was brought up in a Catholic household.
Oh, same.
And the thing is, again, I believe 70% of it depends on where you were born, but 30% also depends on the background of your family and etc. stuff like that, right? So that's where it comes into, because I come from a very multicultural background, right? So because I come from a very multicultural background, luckily enough, everyone was Roman Catholic, right? So you know how Roman Catholics are, right? When I'm saying how we know Roman Catholics are, bro, Sunday church, 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah,
I had to go there, and if you're under the age of 16, you had to go church on Saturday too. Like, I was forced into that shit, which kind of made me despise religion in some fact. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just like shit was forced down your throat, even though I was not given a choice to. Right?
So I'm gonna hop in and say that I'm kind of with Joker. So here's the thing. First of all, to give a little context, I grew up with a mom that was trying to find the religion that fit her. She believed in religion, but she didn't know which one she wanted to fit into, right? So we went from Catholic to Pentecostal to Methodist and yada yada. All typically, Christianity-based religion. But we went all around the map, and it's to the point that my entire childhood growing up, arguably till about like in the teenage years, we were going to church 2 to 3 days a week. I would go for youth group. I would go for Sunday normal at church and etc. We were always involved within church activities. So we would help out with baptism. We would help out in events. I was always involved in the music of every church that I ever went into. So whether it was playing the piano, whether it was messing with the audio, singing, whatever the hell, I was always all up in the church, right? Mm-hmm. And then, sorry, the baby's crying. And then it literally came to the point that we went to church so much, so frequently. And the constant switching of the church, I saw personally, there are so many different types of goddamn churches, and they all preach very similar things. But personally, I veered away from church itself and just like religious gatherings, so to speak. Like I still believe in God, you feel me, like, and all that. Like I still pray here and there, not as much, granted, but I learned to despise the religious gathering of individuals, because I've personally found that the most hypocritical individuals I've ever met in my life were at church. Those were the individuals that were always telling you, you have to be this way, you have to be the way of God. And I'm like, bro, I know for a fact you're probably committing fraud at work while you're cheating on your wife. Like, chill the fuck out, bro.
Well, like I know what really got me onto it was I grew up heavily Catholic. I went, like, after school, I went to church school. I was after school. That was my after school activity. My mom,
actually, I'll beat you on that one. I went to a Catholic Christian elementary school where Thursday mass was required, and every day we had a Bible class right in between math and history.
Well, here's the thing. Here's how big my mother was.
Same thing for
me. My
sister
went to a Catholic school. All right, and one reason why I didn't, because we didn't have one in our area. All right, but we still, like, that's what she was onto it. But my mother, she kind of took a different path on it, because she grew up Catholic, because my grandmother out in St. Louis, it's a very, like, not religious, but like that Irish community. You see what I'm saying? They're very, very Catholic. And
really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So she kind of veered away from it and kind of went to like a Protestant stage, because the pastor at the time that she had, or the priest, told her that she wasn't allowed to take communion because she was a sin or something like that, the way she told me. That she was a sin. Yeah. So she kind of veered away from it, and they kind of made like her just feel kind of bad. So she went.
Yeah, bro. There's a lot of guilt tripping in churches.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For stupid shit too.
And can I just throwing it out there? Churches are way, and we'll get deeper into this, but I highly disagree with what a successful business churches are, especially in the United States. Go ahead and continue.
Finish on that point. We just finish on that point. So she also believed in that you shouldn't be able to tell. A God already knows your sin before you do it, right? As they all pretty much say. So she don't believe in the fact that you need to tell another human your sins.
Okay. Like confessions and shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Even know that they're a vessel for God. Sorry. God already knows my sin before I even do it. He planned my sin to see how I rebut it for me. As I started getting older, I started challenging, like finding it a little bit challenging to follow, keep going Christian, going Catholic, or going to Christian. That's why, like, I feel like I consider myself more like that pagan, but kind of to a point, because I believe in, like, there is magic, there's dark magic, you know what I mean, and that kind of things, that there are the gods, but it's to the point where I just believe really in a higher energy. There's something there, but I can't tell you if it's the Catholic way, the Christian way, the Buddhist way, Muslim way.
Right.
But that's where I come from onto it, because it's just that's me trying to find something to believe in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the pagan way just kind of makes sense.
And it's for me. Oh, my bad, dude. I think it's just everybody's society just trying to find a reason for what the hell we're here for. What is the whole purpose of us being here? The meaning of life. I
think it's just they wanted something to believe in, and like have this faith and hope, I would say, to hold on to, because it could have a very difficult situations for them, and they just want to not think about that difficulty that they're going through, because it's too much for them to take, and this is kind of like a safe haven for them to just forget about what's going on over here and just focus on this, and something to just take yourself away from all the bullshit that's happening about from you.
So, and I think you hit it on the head, because hope is something that people long for. Like, what is it? There was not a social experiment. There was an experiment done in a lab on rats, and this is just I'm going to tell everybody right now, it's very not inhumane because it's not humans, you get what I'm saying, but it's kind of fucked up, like experimenting on lab rats and shit. But the experiment was, they would grab a cup of water, a cup of glass water, like a tall glass, right? And they filled it up halfway with water. They would put the rat inside, see how long the rat would actually survive, like try to stay afloat, right? And they showed that the rats, in about less than an hour, like 45 minutes or so, the rat would eventually drown. Okay? And they ran it multiple times, and they found out like around 45 minutes to an hour, the rats all drowned. Now they ran a controlled experiment then, and they're like, okay, right at 45 minutes, right when we see that the rat's about to go under, we're gonna pull the rat out. Put the rat on a safe area, dry the rat up, let the rat completely dry up, and then we're gonna put the rat back in the water after the rat's comfortable. And they saw that once the rat had been taken out and put into the environment again, the rat actually stayed floating for over 24 hours. Camera just switched?
Yeah, your camera just switched.
But the rat actually... Computer's not restarting. What is that? But anyway,
We're talking about religion, bro.
That's it, bro. That's it. The bad juju's coming through. Anyway, so the rat actually, they showed that the rat basically survived for 24 hours or more, floating, because it knew that there was a chance of hope, and that there was a chance that they would actually be survived. So it fought longer, survived longer, struggled for longer. And I think that's the very same reason why us humans like almost rely on hope. You feel me?
Well, hope and faith.
Hope and faith, yeah. Like it's to the point that it's like we almost feel like if we don't have something to believe in, a lot of people would give up easier. Yeah. And I think churches take advantage of that shit, quite frankly.
Like the way I grew up was, again, I earlier said, right, Saturday, Sunday mass, catechism classes, this class, that class, Bible class. Bro, you know when all of these things are shoved down your throat and you were given a no choice option, is there like you have to do all of this, all right? And if not, you get your ass whooped, right? That was the other incentive. Like, I don't want to get my ass whooped, but whatever. But the thing is, like, that's what made me just get pushed away from all of this thing. I was there like, look, Mom, when I turned 16, right? When I turned 16, that's when I was able to make the choice. I was there like, I'm not going. You know what I mean? You can whoop my ass, but I'm not going. You know, It's one of those things where I just hate, like, again, what Windu was saying, going to church and seeing all these hypocritical bastards just telling me how to live your life, what you have to do, how you need to speak to each individual. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Just shut the fuck up. Why are you telling me how to do my shit? You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing.
I went to that point of, all right, you know what? Enough is enough. I started considering myself as an atheist at this point.
Interesting. Wow. Like not believing in any higher power at all or anything.
Yeah, it's true. Because it was just, it was pushed down so much for me that I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna go to this point, like either agnostic or atheist, right? I was just like, do whatever the fuck you want to do, but don't tell me anything about religion. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just do.
Yeah, a high percentage of atheists were believers. You know, they were either Catholic or brought up Christian, and that's what it is, man. There's the Bible says that there's a battle for your soul. You know, there's an enemy that we cannot see. You know, and sometimes your enemy is right in your face, and it looks like it's the Catholic Church. You know, they make it so impossible to receive the grace of God. You have to go through mass. You have to go through a man. You got to go through this.
I don't think it's the church, as to say. I think it's just the people within the community, like the Catholic community, are the culprits behind it. I wouldn't necessarily blame it all on the actual sect within the Christianity for that one particular thing, because I'll tell you what, my girlfriend, right? She's a gospel church girl, right? And then she turned into born again Christian, I think. Yeah. But anyways, her dad is a pastor, right? back in Congo, all of that. But the fact is that, like, when she met me and she found out that I was religious, that was a +1. That's why she carried on having a relationship with me, right? But that's because I turned religious slowly over time. When I turned by the age of 26, 27, I was there like, you know what? I already dealt with all this bullshit with people, forcing all their religious points of view over me, but now I know that I can be my own person. I can believe in my own faith and think. I do believe in a higher power like you guys believe in. You know what I mean? But do you think that just because me praying is going to achieve anything? I don't think so. Praying is just a way for me to just focus on one little thing, all the bad things away aside. I can just focus on that, and it gives me that little bit of calm. It's kind of like
solidarity.
You go woo-saw, like how you say woo-saw kind of shit. It's kind of similar feeling that I have when I'm praying, right? And that's again like my girlfriend. She's super religious, bro. She is fucking religious to the point, but even she has turned around and seen the way it has an effect on me, and she turned around and said, you know what, I'm just happy that you believe in God, like higher power. I'm just happy that you're doing all of this. And if she says, do you want to come to church? If I say no, she's fine with it. If I say yes, she's fine with it. You know what I mean? And that's what I like, that kind of, that freedom, that given that choice that I can do. But when I was a kid, that there was nothing that is a choice. It was forced. Like, believe it or not, in Roman Catholic itself, you were forced to have a baptism from the day you were born, right?
Yeah, like I was baptized when I was born, basically.
Yeah.
And then I was also encouraged to do like another baptism after the fact when I was a teenager.
Yeah, exactly. And then you do, as you turn, I think it's 10 or 11, you do First Holy Communion, right? And then when you hit in your teens, you do your confirmation. So I went through all of that shit, right? And between these periods, when I had to do that, I had to make sure that I had to attend catechism classes, make sure I attend these religious gatherings, make sure that I go meet this person or that person, and then trying to get a lecture about Bible, this, that, and everything. And after church, when you meet your friends' parents, right? First of all, I hated the fact that we were wasting time, because on a Sunday morning, right, you woke me up at 7 o'clock, beat me up to say, get ready, make sure you're in church by 9 o'clock, sit inside church for 1 hour, do our shit, and then your family will end up chatting to their friends for another goddamn 2 hours, right? While my other friends are enjoying waking up in their own sweet time.
Okay, so here's the thing. All right, I'm gonna just not really kind of challenge you a little bit on that, Joker, but it's kind of like a thing. So it's the hard part is we all grew up in this day and age where stuff was kind of like to the point where it's forced on us, but we kind of, wasn't cool to worship God, right? That wasn't the cool thing.
Okay, I mean that's fair. Like early 2000s, if you were a church boy or something, like okay,
bro, I was
stay away from the priest, bro. Like
I was the boy till I was 13. You imagine that shit?
But it's not that though. It's because it wasn't cool. But if you grew up in a region where, like, say you grew up in Utah, all right, where the whole damn state, they're pretty religious to, or if you grew up in an actual Bible Belt state, or if you, Joker, say you grew up closer to, like say you grew up closer, honestly, to the Vatican, like towards that area, you'd be more. It wouldn't be so neglected to be part of the church. But that's why I asked this question.
I think the thing is, like, I would say that was I'm not because obviously you're not saying. But I would say that comparison where you just because I'm living close to the Vatican City, want to make me go to church, I think that's not given because of fact is that people who are living closest to the Vatican City are not fucking religious at all, to be honest with you. The people that comes, Roman Catholics.
What I'm trying to say is, hold on. What I'm trying to say is because it just depends your region. Like when you're down like, over here in the States, bro, you grew up in the Bible Belt states, you stay religious through your whole entire years.
Oh yeah,
even if you're forced into it. But that's what I'm saying. So, but hold on, I got one thing though for you.
That's not necessarily with just Christianity. I mean, Islam.
That's everything.
You know.
But so, I have one thing that I've seen that's kind of raised the question to me. Right? It states, "For we walk by faith and not by sight." So, do you guys honestly think, like, if you were to go into a new area, do you just keep walking because you have faith, or do you stop walking because what you see in front of you? Like, so, like, say you go into a bad area. All right, I'm just use this as an example. You go into a bad area. Do you keep walking through that bad area because you just feel like you have faith that nothing's gonna happen to you?
I know people that are like that, bro. They'll go into the bad area just to preach and do everything, get mugged, and be like, the reason I'm alive is because the Lord protected me. I'm like, yeah, bro, but you don't got your wallet in your phone anymore.
Well, I think what that verse was meant to say is that in your life, the decisions that you make, they're based off of, you know, what is going to honor God the most. You know, it's not really like I'm going to go in the hood and I'm going to challenge the biggest dude out there.
Yeah.
It's not something that literal, but it's like everything that we do in our life.
I guarantee even in the hood, they're more religious than the people outside of the hood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Because that's how you were raised. You know?
Fair enough.
That's how you were raised. If you were poor, you definitely grew up in church, because not only did they have
you were praying for a chance, bro. Like
you had like-minded people from your community banding together, and you know they go to a place where they have hope, you know, for the next day. You know?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that there's also there's people that take advantage of good people, you know? That's why the whole thing with Martin Luther, you know, he converted, he was a Catholic priest, but then he protested against the Catholic Church because he saw how the people, again, within the system were taking advantage of believers, you know, that would say, hey, if you brought $1,000 to me, you know, you'd be forgiven for your sins, or you would get, you know, your crops for the next year, you know, and poor people would give everything that they had just for the grace of God.
And that's what I hate about churches, for the fact, not specifically like churches as to say, but it's just that ideology behind it, right? So I was always given this thought process. Every Sunday when you go to church, you have to give an offering, right? It's at least a minimum of £5. Yeah, we have to give.
It's 10%.
Over here, it's 10% offering. Yeah, like that's what I was always taught.
Right. So I'm sitting there going, so I'm looking around the whole entire thing, right? Well, there's about like 200, 300 odd people over here, right? Excluding kids, because if I include kids, that's a lot more bigger numbers. But excluding kids, I just like 200 or 300 again adults over here who always come to church at the same time on Sundays, give the same amount of offering every Sunday, and you sit there and be like, yo, if you start a church, it's a business, bro. It's a fucking business, right? My girlfriend's.
I've sold insurance to pastors, right? Tax exempt. I've sold insurance to pastors, and I'm like, wow, bro, that's a nice Rolls Royce you got.
Exactly.
On rims, everything, yeah.
Yo,
it's crazy.
It's like, what do you do for a living again? Clergy. Like,
yeah, like imagine this. My priest, like my church over here, right, down the road. My priest, right, he's got a house, yeah, right next to the church. Bro, I walked into that house. I'm telling you, you can easily make $250,000 if you sell this house. Instant. I'm like, yo, this is a bougie ass place for a priest. You know what I mean?
What?
He's even got a game room in there.
Have you heard of Joel Osteen, Joker? Have you heard
No.
of Joel Osteen?
Bro, he's
Dude
massive, bro.
He's
He's one of the most
he's a pastor
successful
in a
preachers
mega
out there, bro.
church.
He literally has a football stadium as his church.
Yeah, dude.
And you're supposed to, like, this is what I don't understand, right? I get it. You know, it's your money, do whatever the hell you want with it. But you know, when you're sitting in the church and you're listening to a freaking sermon about helping out the community, helping out the poor, and all of this kind of shit, like, motherfucker, you got enough money to build a house, build a fucking apartment complex, and give that shit out to people who are suffering and not able to afford to live, instead of having all these homelessness crises, right? But don't sit there and tell me about how I need to donate at the goodwill of my heart and all of this shit, when you got a fucking... Imagine if I found out that my priest had a football stadium. Yo, you know how much I'll be screwing? Like, no, man.
Hell yeah, I'd be pissed.
No, bro, I'll be fucking fuming.
Did you hear about the preachers that got jacked on Facebook Live in New York? They had like $250,000 worth of jewelry on.
All right, and we're back. So, guys, anybody that's watching, just want to let you guys know what just happened behind the scenes here. So my computer completely decided to shut down, restart, and start updating in the middle of our recording. So I know you guys won't necessarily see it, but in the meantime, it honestly took so long that Jeej, he had other things to attend to. So shout out to Jeej and being here with us. We appreciate you, homie. You guys will catch the rest of him in the next episode. But let's continue where we left off a second ago. Josh, you were telling us, sorry, Caveman, you were telling us about a group of pastors that got like caught with something, or what was it?
Yeah, no. So earlier this week, I read that there was this pastor giving a sermon, and they had like a live Facebook Live thing going on, you know, and they had people watching from home, and some dudes came in with some guns and ski masks and whatnot, and they robbed the pastor and the pastor's wife, and amongst, you know, people in the congregation and whatnot. But just from them alone, from the pastor and his wife, they got over $250,000 of jewelry, you know, and shit off of them. So, and when you look at the recording, the church is not a mega church. You know, it's not like where you can see maybe there's power in numbers and there's people, you know. Do I seriously have a halo? Holy shit.
Yeah, Larry, like, what the? How did you put that filter on?
Dude, I don't even know.
That's funny.
So yeah, man, but I mean, it's people like that really turn people off of not religion, but, you know, being able to come into a safe environment like a church, seeking not only spiritual advice, but advice about life. And, you know, it really causes distrust, you know, between the congregation and the people that are empowering the churches, you know? And yeah, dude, it sucked, man. Growing up as a kid, it wasn't fun, you know? I wasn't like, yay, Jesus loves me, you know? Because I remember in elementary school, you know, first I learned how to speak English in elementary school. Like, we were strictly Spanish only speaking in my household. But anyway, so like coming into that environment, I don't know the language. I'm learning the language, you know, and then now comes holidays like Halloween, you know. That's something that, like, in the Mexican culture, we have the other Los Muertos, but like my family's really not. Like, that's kind of like a Jeej thing. It's more like a pagan thing. Yeah. And we don't mix with some Catholicism, but anyway, we don't practice anything like that, right? So Halloween was like kind of weird because, like, you'd see these kids dress up, they would get candy, they would have fun, but because my parents' belief system, you know, their whole thought process was that celebrating anything like that, or even participating in things that had to do with pagan artifacts and whatnot, you know, like a jack-o'-lantern, like Halloween, you know, and all that, you couldn't affiliate with that. So while the kids were having fun, I was isolated to a table, you know, coloring this generic ass fucking picture, you know, and I couldn't enjoy. Yeah, dude,
I feel that, bro. Like, legit, like, I was not allowed to go outside past like 5 p.m. on Halloween growing up. Like legit, my mother and my family, we would lock ourselves inside, lock all the doors, pretend that anybody knocking on the door was the devil, basically. It was crazy shit. Like there really are extremities like that.
I honestly, at that point of Halloween period, every time when I was growing up, it was a similar thing. Like, mom turned around and said, like, yo, listen, don't open the door to anyone. We don't celebrate that kind of shit. It's a satanic fucking thing, this, that, and everything. And like, eventually, as we carried on living here, and we progressed, like, you know, years gone by, like slowly we are also like, my mom's kind of open-minded about it now, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's just Halloween, like, you know what I mean? It's just nothing.
But it fucking sucks. Where the fuck were you when I was a kid? Why were you open-minded then?
I wanted to go out and collect some candy.
That's definitely weird, not wrong.
Yeah, my parents are the same way, dude. They're like, oh, let the kids have fun and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? What about me? You know, like, now you're open-minded. Now you're the...
Because now they're woke along with everybody else, bro. Jesus.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's the mindset when it comes to, like, I would say predominantly Christian background. You know, and that's what pushes a lot of people away from these kind of things. They're like, yo, all these other people get to do these other things, but I'm not allowed to do this shit. Like, come on, fam. You know,
and especially an institution that preaches grace and patience and, and understanding.
But that's the same institutions that also preach acceptance, but they're like, hey, went for the wrong team though. I don't know about all that. Like, you feel me? Like it.
And also it kind of develops this prejudiced kind of a thought process amongst other people too. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you can't mix with these kind of people because they believe in this kind of, you know, faith and religion and all of this kind of things. Like, you don't want to be corrupted with their kind of thought process. You know what I mean? Is they like, yeah, bro, he's my homie.
But it's typical human nature, man. When we get our egos involved, it fucks everything up. You know, like these people, we get a God complex. So when we start to fix things in our life and we start to feel a little bit better about ourselves, I would say a lot of people, not most, I would say a lot of people, they turn around and they make themselves feel a little bit better by projecting their bullshit on somebody else, or thinking that, oh, you know, you're a sinner, you come to church, now, you know, I'm better than you because I got my shit straight and it's better to be me than you, you know? And then a lot of people coming in for help, they're like, oh shit, no, you know?
Let me ask you this question, let me ask you a question, both of you, right? Whenever you went to church, did you ever come across this snobby ass fucking church goers that look down on you just because, you know, they think their life is a lot better than yours?
Those are the worst of the hypocrites, bro. Those are the ones that
that's why I don't go to church.
They judge everybody based on the fact of what they should be when they are no fucking diamond themselves, bro.
Yo.
No.
The amount of times, especially like when, you know, I went to multiple churches, right, as I was growing through my teenage years and all of these kind of things, because it was personal reasons, because I was going out with a girl who was like very religious, and also now I'm going out with a girl who's very religious, but they're very religious in different sects of Christianity, which was basically gospel church, you know, Methodist church, Anglican church, even fucking Church of England, right? All sorts of things. And to be honest with you, that opened up my senses, really, because each different churches have a different way of worshiping, right? And right now, like, I am into this point, is there, like, I can go to any church and I can enjoy it. You know what I mean? But I will still stay away from fucking going to Catholic churches, because that shit is not interesting to me anymore. You know what I mean? It's just kind of makes me feel like, oh, if I go there, I'm going to fall asleep. You know, that's the kind of thought process I was like, I'd rather go to a church where I'm awake, engaging, then fall asleep. You know what I mean? That's the kind of mentality I have now. Yeah. But prior to that, just church in general, I was like, yeah, I'm not going. Fuck that. Hey, fuck that. Shit, fuck that. I don't want to go there. You know, if I want to pray to God, I can just be in my room and be like, listen, yo, you gotta help me out somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, dude. I mean, even in the Bible, you know, it talks about King David. You know, he was really loved by God, but he did a lot of fucked up shit. You know, if you know the whole story of David. But anyway, he says, even way back in the day, he said, God, I'd rather be judged by you because you have mercy. People have no mercy.
Yeah.
You know, people don't care, bro. Once you feel good about yourself, you forget about where you came from. You know,
that's true, bro. People are ignorant as hell for that shit.
Yeah,
they do, bro. Exactly. And then you come in,
and I've seen people act brand new when they find religion. And I mean, you know, to each his own. Like, I understand, you know, baptisms and stuff. Like, there is a whole process of like feeling and you know, like you almost want to be brand new in a sense, right? Which you teach his own, by all means. I'm not here to rain on your parade, but I definitely see people, and this is just lack of self-development on individuals, right? That they feel that because they found God, because they gave their life to Christ or whatever, or other religions, right? But because they've taken that step, they now feel like they're entitled, or they feel like they are one step above everybody else because they haven't done it. And then they get on this whole high trip of, I have to get them to that level too. And it's like, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. Life is an ongoing thing that you need to constantly work on yourself. I get it. Like, it's perfectly good that you want to share what you've experienced with others and this high that you feel, and you want to get other people to that level as well. But you need to understand that while you're in that high, you still are committing mistakes. You need to humble yourself the fuck down. And a lot of people just don't. They don't humble themselves.
Like, I have a couple of few people that are just, like, I would say converted. Many from being Christian to different religion, and many from different religion converting to Christianity, you know, their own thing. And a lot of people, I don't know what vibes I give off to them, but they seem to come and always speak to me, right? And I'm gonna be straight. I'm straight with them. I'm like, listen, homie, like, whatever you're telling me right now, if you want to rant and vent out shit, feel free. I'm not going to fucking sit there. But don't push that shit on me. Don't push your agenda on me, because I can make up mind on my own. I've been through all these kind of thought processes, and you don't have to sit there and tell me this, that, or the other. If you ask me for my honest opinion, I'll be like, you do you, bro. You do you. Yeah. But don't try to push that shit on me. You know what I mean? And most of the time when I say this kind of things, people become very defensive. You know what I mean? People become very, like, I don't know, they have this need to have this kind of a debate with you to try and persuade you into thinking whatever they are saying is the correct thing. I'm like, no, homie. Like, I can tell you right now, there are so many shit within the Bible. It's contradictory to what you're telling me right now. Right? And people be like, oh, you're not religious. How do you know what this is, that, and everything? I'm like, yo, I grew up in a Catholic community where I had no choice but to fucking read the Bible, right? We even have in prayer time to read, like, open up a random page and read that section of the fucking, you know, chapter, right? And then afterwards, just try and explain to your fucking family while prayer time as to what I understood within this freaking chapter in this paragraph, right? So I know what I'm talking about. It's just people, how they take it is different. Bible is just a guide for me to live a decent life. But I'm not going to fucking believe everything the Bible says, because it was actually written by another human individual who took it into their perspective, and this is how the freaking you have to follow Christianity or whatever it is, right? And it's the same thing goes with many religions. It's like, perspective on how you read the Bible. Thus, it's like one of those things. No matter what, people are never, their ignorance, like Windu said, it's just very ignorant attitude.
It's wild, man.
It's because most people, most religious people aren't really religious, man. Most people get their knowledge
Wannabes.
by their preacher. They go to church and they listen to their preacher, which is one imperfect human, and they take everything that person says to heart, and they take that doctrine and try to apply to their life, which is imperfect because it's coming from an imperfect being, you know,
with a point of view, like a specific opinions, like
on certain things like abortion. You know, people get to one level and then that's it. They don't go do the research beyond that, beyond face value. They want everything spoon fed to them. That's most people. You know, the real believers, the real people that get on their knees, that pray to God, that had that relationship with God, they're not going out there and being Bible thumpers in your face. They're living their lives the way that the scripture teaches us to live our lives, and be a positive influence and be a voice of help and a beacon of light and hope. You know, because this world's messed up, man. You know, and the good thing is that we have so many examples to learn from. You know, like for example, you know, Jesus Christ was poor. He was a poor carpenter, and he hung out with prostitutes, thieves. You know, that's who he hung out with. You know, and that's who he came to speak to. But you also look at Buddha. You know, Buddha came from wealth. You know, he left his palace because he wanted to be something more than just this one level. He had everything a man could ever want. You know, he had servants, he had a palace, but he understood in his mind that there's more to life than just this, you know, and he went and he sought knowledge. People don't do that, you know, people would rather go. Oh,
when you were telling me about when you were telling me about Bible thumpers in your face, right? Like one of the things that came into my head was got one of my family members, right? You know how these Jehovah's Witnesses come knocking on your door and trying to like, you know, preach their fucking thing. Like, I'll kid you not. I was at home one day and my family member opened the door. Right, and I went down with them, opened the door, like, you know, whatever, just went down. Like, this is a very odd time at like 6 o'clock in the evening to somebody come knocking on my fucking door because we were not expecting any company, whatever. Next minute, there was about a group of 3, right, Jehovah's Witnesses trying to preach to my family member. My family member said, "Hold up, 1 second." I was there like, "All right, I'm just gonna wait here, innit, because she's gonna come back." Next minute, you know, because we're a Catholic household, she went and picked up the cross, right? And she must have gone to the kitchen, picked up a clove of garlic, right? Came outside the door. I can't with you, bro. And she just put it on.
That was funny.
I don't know, man. Like,
saying, man, some people are like that though, bro. Like hardcore got the holy water on deck, ready to go. Ready to fucking go, bro. Yeah, you know, but
when that happened, I just couldn't stop laughing, bro.
Yeah,
I think
bro. We're naturally superstitious, you know.
I was about to say, I think in 2022, the religion in general, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in 2022, religion in general has almost turned into a joke for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's sad. Like somebody that, you know, came from religion and everything. Like it's almost like if you believe in UFOs, you're more normal than believing in religion nowadays.
Yeah.
Which is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Right.
People believe more in conspiracy shit than they actually believe in religion.
I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. And you hear people is like, oh, that means the end of times are like, I hate to be skeptical too when people like that come, but in my mind I'm like, haven't y'all been saying the end of times are coming for the past 500 years?
You remember when that movie 2012 came out and everyone was there like, yo, there is a person out there who can predict that the world's gonna end in 2020, I believe. I say like, motherfuckers, we still.
They thought the end of times was coming when Hitler came around. They were like, hey, that's the Antichrist right there, here to enslave humanity and blah, blah, blah. They'd said the same thing about Stalin. Like,
now you got Putin, and people thought there was an end of time too because Putin was going to destroy the world. Like, no.
Like, I hate to be skeptical, like, because I still have mad respect for religion and my upbringing and everything. But I sit here and I'm like, bro, I'll be honest, as a career salesman, y'all are just selling ideas, selling fear in order to get somebody to go to church and pray more. Like, I hate to look at it that way, but as a businessman, I just see business practices that benefit the business, not the consumers.
Absolutely.
It's scoff, bro.
You see these cult leaders out there, like, bro, that's exactly what they do. And this look like most of the time, religion now looks like a cult to a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, we're gonna draw you in, you're gonna lose all that money, and like, all right.
Hey man, I'll be real with you. Have you ever been to like a Catholic mass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, so here's the thing. My mother was a Catholic when I was born, right? For the first few years of my life, I never went to Catholic church. I was always with a babysitter or something, but I was always taught, pray to the Virgin Mary and this and that, do my prayers and shit like that at the end of the night, like Santa Maria, blah, blah, blah. Like, you feel me? Like I was instilled, even though I never really went, or I don't remember going, right? So a few years ago, I had a girlfriend that was extremely Catholic. It was very important for her that I also went to church because I'm not an avid churchgoer, and I was like, if that matters that much, I'll go. Okay, bro, when I'm sitting there in the middle and out of nowhere, first of all, if you ever go to a Catholic church and you're brand new, don't fucking sit in the front. That's what I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
Don't sit in the front, because you're there, I'm there in the front, and then people are standing up and sitting down, and I'm like 3 seconds delay the whole time. I'm like, well, I'm so fucking lost. And then when the guy up front said something, and I hear 300 people behind me respond in unison, like, and with your spirit. I'm like, where the fuck am I right now? I'm like, yo, what is happening, bro? Like, that's the most cult feeling I've ever got in my life. Yeah. And to think that it is a Christian-based religion, I'm like, bro, this is about as cult gets in the Christian religion.
Yeah. You see dead ass, naked ass Jesus up there bleeding and shit. You're like, this is family friendly. This is family
I'm telling
friendly.
you, you know what? Imagine this, right? Growing up as a Catholic, I'll tell you honestly, until the age of 13 and 14, I was an altar boy, right? When I was an altar boy, when the priest is on, there's a stage, right? Imagine about 6 altar boys just sitting in one section and the priest, and you're looking at the whole entire room, and I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing up here? You know what I mean? All eyes are on me at this point. Like,
you know what's wild?
Pray to them.
I can't with them. You know what's wild? I have a cousin that was Catholic 100% his entire life. He was so into it. He was an altar boy. He was so into it. He went to college and studied clergy, like ordained and whatever. Like, his goal was to become a priest. He enjoyed it that much. He went through a full 6 years, got his degree. The moment he graduated, he said, fuck religion, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I like pussy too much. That's what he said.
Yeah, bro. No, but hold on. I've seen, and I don't know like how this is supposed to go, because I've also seen married Catholic preachers, because apparently that's becoming more accepted now, right? And then you have the Pope saying a same-sex marriage is accepted as valid marriage, because the new Pope is very woke as opposed to previous ones. You feel me?
It's because he got tired of all them cases with little kids coming out and saying, oh, I got touched. but my priest. Sorry, Joker. But I mean, they're all, you know.
Oh, yo.
Sorry, Joker.
No, it wasn't.
I thought you meant because he was an altar boy.
Bro. Yes. That I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen all the time, but
No.
Yeah, by all means, but it's hilarious, bro.
I know what you mean. But the thing is, I think majority of the time is these priests that came out in newspapers saying that this person does so and so, and this person does so and so. I think it all happens behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, when. Yeah, like there are times where the priest says like, yo, you gotta bring your kid, like he has to come over here. And then afterwards, you just look around, is there like, there's something fishy about it just by the way he's saying it. Like you were not able to hear from what he had to say. Like, nah, bro, chill, fam. Nah. If my mom ever did that to me when I was growing up, I'm like, listen, no.
That's it. No.
Punch him in the nuts
Scary.
or something. That's
I will happily take
up, bro.
I will happily take a ass whooping at this point.
You get your ass whooped anyway, right? You get your ass whooped anyway.
Exactly. I might as well take my ass whooped this time. Like, no, that's the thing. Like, you two, I can honestly tell you, being born as an immigrant, you guys know, immigrant family. Right, religion was a very important subject in your household.
Oh yeah,
the core, right?
Everything.
Second, by that, following the way of how you need to grow up according to the religious ways. But then afterwards, your parents go end up doing different things anyway. You know?
Yes,
and then afterwards you sit
bro.
And then you sit there and go like, you just contradict everything that you're trying to teach me here.
Yes, bro. Yes, that's exactly what they do, bro. Because like my dad was raised Catholic, right? But then he became born again Christian or something like that, and so did my mom, right? So they were fervent believers. They still are, you know, and which is good, man. You get a good, I believe, a good solid upbringing, you know. Mm-hmm. But again, bro, we couldn't go to the movie theaters, bro.
Exactly.
Like, that was a sin, bro.
No.
I'm like, what?
For me, it was not more like a sin. Mine was more like, no. You just have to listen to me saying no.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if it's a foreign or a religious thing, but it was just like, yes, they were very, very strict. And then now, like, you know, that I have kids, they're like, oh, are you going to take the kids trick-or-treating? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, where the hell were you 20 years ago? Like, I think I would have enjoyed it. You know, I think I would have maybe stuck to going to church and to religion a little bit closer, because you have
like you're almost like your parents pushed you away from it.
Yeah.
Yes, man. Yes. And not only them, but like, you know, the people in the church too, you know, because it is true, man. Once you get there, they're like, oh, you know, like they stick their nose up to you.
No.
And they're like, oh, you know.
No, you know what I used to really get annoyed with the fact is that your parents will always compare you to another fucking church-going kid, saying like, look how good, well behaved this child is. Why can't you be more like him?
Yes, bro.
Right? Why can't you be more like him? Bro, I used to get so pissed off with that fact. Is they're like, next time when I saw that motherfucker, they're like, listen, stop being a fucking goody two shoes. Otherwise, I'm gonna beat your ass up, fam. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because of you at home, I have to listen to. You see him? Yeah. Why can't you behave more like him? Yeah.
He loves Jesus more than you.
Right, I used to hate it. It's like, what do you mean you're not going to church? You know, Laurita's son Sergio's gonna be there.
Oh,
Jesus fucking Christ.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, let him be there. Let him be there. Cool. What you want me to do
one of
about it?
my closest homies, right? We grew up together, and he's a religious guy. We went to the same church. My mom always compared it. Did you know that he has read Bible 30 times? Like, what's that got to do with me? Like, what's that got to do with me? Is it like, why don't you read the Bible more than 30? Why can't you? Is it like, it was always a fucking competition. It was always a fucking competition. Right?
Dude,
When it came to this kind of thing.
my
hate
fucking
it.
mom used to pinch my arm.
Oh,
Like if you had fallen asleep or like, you know, they'd pinch the shit out of your arm. Like, oh fuck.
yeah.
And then they look at you with that death stare. I want to kill you when we get home.
Yeah,
You know,
and
like
you know
that
when they
look and
pinch-
shit.
And you know when they pinch here.
Yeah.
The most fucking-
Bro.
You know what I mean?
You're
Just on the
mad
back,
and
like it's
shit,
like-
and it burns and it hurts a little bit. You're like,
And I'm
fuck.
going.
Do you think everybody else
like,
knows? Like,
yeah.
God.
Of course. Like, look, you know, and like there's multiple fucking examples I can give you. That like there's one kid at church who's corrupt as shit, but in front of your parents, he's like he's the most best kid on the fucking existence.
Yes,
right? The
bro.
only difference is I
There's
do this
always
shit
one
in
of those.
front. Right? I do this shit in front, but he's a model citizen. Like, really? Do you not know what this motherfucker is
He's the
capable of?
future. He's the future pastor of the church. That's why.
Yo,
I mean,
it was like one of the karmas came back biting when this motherfucker got caught like smoking weed and all of this shit. As
Damn.
Haha. You can't fucking compare to me no more because he got caught with this shit. I don't do that shit.
I mean,
you know?
I'll tell you, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I also think a big reason why a lot of people might dislike religion because we tie that to our hypocritical family also. Like, you get me? If religious people are me and my family, if me and my family are religious people, and all religious people out there are like me and my family, hey man, I ain't got much to find there, to be real with you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
The amount of shit that I can see. And also, have you noticed, like, because you all know what the Catholic experiences are, and you know, I can honestly about it. Any kind of a fucking good news, you'll always find
Praise the Lord.
2 or 3 drunk uncles in that celebration opening up a fucking bottle, like instantly, right? And then and they start spouting shit that don't even make no sense, right? You're sitting there going,
It's true, bro. It's fucking true,
like,
man.
you sit there
And
breathe.
people also tie with religion with like no fun. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I can't do shit. I can't fuck. I can't do drugs. I can't do nothing. I gotta fucking like go live in a box and pray and it's
live like an
no,
Amish
dude.
way of life. Yeah,
No,
live like an Amish way of life.
exactly. Like I'm a monk some fucking where, you know? That's why nuns are so mean, bro, because they can't get no dick, bro. They're mean and pissed off to everybody. And yes, bro, like yeah, bro, that's the whole fucking thing that's wrong with them, you know? And people associate, you know, that, and it's no, man. God created you, you know, and he knew you from, you know, before the earth was built, you know, and he's not here to restrict you. He's here to guide you, you know, say, hey, you know, like, don't fuck yourself up. You know what I'm saying? But it's life, enjoy it, you know? And I think that's my perspective, but
Yeah.
most people don't, you
Like,
know?
I always look at it as like, listen, I was given birth. Somebody gave me life. I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of my life as long as
Yeah.
I am breathing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And no motherfucker is going to put a stop and restriction to what I can and what I can't do. You know, if you're not happy with it, bounce. You know what I mean? Like, bounce, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know you anymore. But if you can't accept it, you know, God, you can accept what I'm doing, just like how I accept you what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'll let's say this though, because we probably should be ending because the other half of the recording was actually pretty lengthy. If anybody did enjoy this chat, and again, this chat was a little bit more relaxed for us. This is us just talking about our personal experiences, and us as a podcast, we've been trying to kind of veer more towards that, right? Like, we're okay talking about stuff that are very hard to talk about, like difficult subjects, but we definitely want to be very clear that this is all opinionated. This is based off of our experiences also, and we want to try and talk about other subjects as well. So if you guys could make sure that you leave a comment down below, let us know what are some things that you'd love for us to hear about. I mean, we're open to any conversation whether it be a difficult subject like religion, for example, or whether it be just us sitting here talking about the last Thor movie. Like, we're not against anything. Like, we really are just a general all around podcast, and we really are trying to build a community here. So thank you so much for everybody watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like and a comment down below. And who knows, maybe we'll pick our next subject based off of the comments. We'll see.
And you can find most of these podcasts in audio format through Spotify, Apple Podcast, and also iHeartRadio. So
we're working on spreading
if you
to
don't have
many as possible.
If you don't have and if you don't have time to actually watch the video, you can even listen to it in audio form on YouTube Music app itself on your phone.
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, cool.
Yeah. So
and Spotify.
And Spotify.
And so, but yeah, so tell us more about any kind of experiences that you're going through, so that, you know, we can, if we understand or we have gone through those kind of experiences, we will be more than willing to talk about it and share our opinion or two. Sometimes I know I can go on a bit of a rant, but but you know, it's just a conversation at the end of the day, because we are friends, you know, just discussing most things. So nothing will be held in any kind of disrespectful manner or kind of thing like that. But on that note, you know, thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate it. Catch you on the next one.
Oh, and Jeej said to say, don't forget to wipe.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Get me out. All right. Peace, homie. Till the next one.
Peace.
All right. Anyway, you ready?
Yeah. All right.
Go.
I was about to say, you gonna say something?